In the 1980s, Macau, China, was described as the era of bloodshed and blades, the darkest period in the region's history. At that time, Macau was undergoing a transition between old and new powers, leading to increasingly violent conflicts between gangs. Everyone aspired to become the Kingpin of Macau. Among them, the most notable figure was the leader of the 14K gang under the Triad Society named Yin Guoju. He gained widespread notoriety across Southeast Asia, commanding influence and control in Macau. At the peak of his power, the 14K gang was said to wield more authority than Macau's governor at the time. Time magazine even referred to him as the godfather of the twilight years of Macau's Portuguese colonial regime. He reportedly spent over 14 million Hong Kong dollars, approximately 1.7 million USD, to produce a movie about his life. Ironically, that very film later became crucial evidence against him in court. So who was Yin Guoju? How powerful was he? And how did he rise to the top of Macau's underworld? Let's rewind to 1955. Yin Guoju, whose real name is Wan Kwok Koi, was known in the criminal world by the nickname Wan Ka. Wan was born on July 29, 1955, in the slum neighborhood of Chung Chau in the Xin Chau district of Macau. He was the eldest of 5 siblings. His father, Wan Kwang, was a waterworks factory worker, and his mother, Chen Li Bing, worked in a matchstick factory. The family was extremely poor. According to Wan, his ancestral roots were in Hailufeng and his original surname was Tan. My grandfather's surname was Tan, and he was from Hailufeng. After my father was born, due to our family's poverty, my grandfather gave my father up for adoption to a Wan family in Shunde, so his surname was changed to Wan. I was born in Macau, so I also inherited the Wan surname. My origins were revealed by my father before he passed away, something even my mother didn't know. Born into poverty, Wan began collecting recyclables to support his family at the age of 10. He was skilled in cooking, chopping firewood, taking care of his siblings and doing household chores. To ease his family's burden, Wan dropped out of school in the 2nd grade and began working as an apprentice baker in a restaurant. Later, he worked as a thread trimmer in a garment factory. It was during this time that Wan began associating with local street youths. At the age of 15, feeling that his jobs were too grueling, Wan roped in a few friends to sell scalped tickets on the black market. During this time, due to turf disputes, Wan frequently clashed with other small gangs. With his sturdy physique, Wan led a group of street kids who boldly roamed around, gradually making a name for himself. By the age of 16, Wan had someone buy him a small motorbike, and he often participated in street races. During one such race, Wan was involved in an accident and lost one of his front teeth. At the time, his friends jokingly nicknamed him Wan Chipped Tooth, unaware that this nickname would become synonymous with terror in Macau during the 1990s. Shortly after, Wan met and befriended Black Flower Hua, a member of the 14K gang in the Sam Ba Tse area, a hotspot for triads in Macau. From that point on, Wan officially embarked on the path of organized crime. He recruited Shui Fong Lai, the Zhang brothers, Yu Zi, and Bai Banzi as his trusted allies, forming a group they called the 7 Little Fortunes. Initially, Wan and his group dabbled in the drug trade, frequently engaging in violent turf wars and evading the police. However, not long after, Wan's younger brother, Yin Guoju, became addicted to drugs and eventually died from an overdose. This devastating loss led Wan to abandon the drug trade and redirect his gang's focus to the casino industry. Leveraging his connection with Black Flower Hua of the 14K gang, Wan gained access to the casino scene and quickly took control of the loan sharking operations there. This move seriously threatened the interests of the Shui Fong gang, a major triad faction in Macau under the Triad Society. The leader of the Shui Fong gang, Fat Kun, repeatedly sent his men to assassinate Wan. However, Wan and his allies proved extremely resilient, and Fat Kun's attempts consistently failed. Kun then resorted to using his connections within the police force to frame Wan for soliciting a prostitute, resulting in Wan serving 6 months in prison. Not long after his release, Fat Kun once again ordered his gang to assassinate Wan. This time, Wan narrowly escaped death thanks to a nearby police officer who happened to intervene and fire shots to stop the attack. 2 years later, Wan and his group were dining at the Seven Color Rice restaurant when they happened to encounter members of the Shui Fong gang. A violent clash quickly broke out, and the Shui Fong gang, unable to match Wan's group, was left defeated and scattered on the floor. When Fat Kun learned of this, he secretly arranged for someone to testify that Wan Kuo Koi was the leader of the attack, resulting in Wan being sentenced to another 6 months in prison. However, this prison term turned out to be advantageous for Wan. During his time in jail, he became acquainted with 2 significant figures. One was Judicial Officer Shi Chi-du, who had initially arrested Wan and would later become Wan's strategist. The other was Hong Kong's 14K gang boss, Ngai CY, who would go on to become a long-term ally in Wan's ventures. In 1988, Wan was released from prison just as Macau's casinos introduced the groundbreaking intermediary betting system. Major gangs flocked to the casinos to vie for profits. Ngai CY, the Hong Kong 14K leader, seized the opportunity and partnered with Mo Dengping, the Macau 14K boss, to develop intermediary betting operations. However, Mo Dengping was arrogant and hard to control. To deal with him, Ngai CY brought Wan into the fold. Thus began the power struggle between Wan and Mo Dengping. Due to Mo Dengping's strong influence, 3 of Wan's core members, the Zhang brothers and Bai Banzi, defected to his side. Nonetheless, with the support of Shi Chi-du and the backing of Ngai CY, Wan led hundreds of his men to defeat Mo Dengping, forcing him to flee Macau and live in exile. From then on, Wan became the leader of the 14K gang in Macau, gradually solidifying his dominance in the region. At this point, Wan's original group, the 7 Little Fortunes, was reduced to only Shui Fong Lai and his brother-in-law Yuzi. Later, Yuzi succumbed to illness, but before his death, he urged Wan and Shui Fong Lai to work together. Out of gratitude for Yuzi's past kindness, Wan agreed immediately and introduced Shui Fong Lai into the intermediary betting business at the casinos. By late 1989, Wan narrowly escaped an assassination attempt by 2 gunmen at the Portuguese Cuisine Center. A bullet struck the glass and changed direction, sparing his life. Having survived by sheer luck, Wan capitalized on the Macau real estate boom between 1990 and 1991, earning a significant fortune. However, when he clashed with his old friend Black Flower Hua over control of a territory, Wan was ordered to stand down. Furious, Wan turned against Black Flower Hua, and from then on the 2 parted ways. In 1995, the Hyung brothers from the Sun Yi-on Triad in Hong Kong planned to collaborate with mainland forces to establish a casino in Macau. However, Wan and Shui Fong Lai were determined to monopolize the casino business in the region. This conflict led to a fierce turf war over the casino at the Kun Luan Hotel on Taipa Island, igniting a confrontation between the Hong Kong and Macau gangs. As the Sun Yi-on Triad was also immensely powerful, Wan allied with 4 major Macau gangs to form the 4 Union Alliance, engaging in a bloody battle with Sun Yi-on. The situation escalated further when someone planted a bomb outside the Kun Wan Hotel. This prompted Casino King Stanley Ho to intervene and mediate the dispute. The conflict finally subsided temporarily, but the Hong Kong gang's plans to open a casino in Macau were thwarted. In 1996, with his growing influence and fame, Wan organized a grand charity concert in Macau, which became a sensational event. Subsequently, Wan began presenting himself as a businessman and pursued former beauty queen runner-up Yung Oi Ching, who did not dare to refuse his advances. That same year, the Woxing Wo Triad from Hong Kong, seeking to claim a share of the intermediary betting profits in Macau casinos, sent their men to disrupt Wan's territory. Upon hearing of this, Wan led over 100 members of the 14K gang in a violent clash with Woxing Wo, ultimately forcing them to retreat back to Hong Kong. This victory further strengthened Wan's power, causing Ngai Siwai, the leader of the Hong Kong 14K who had supported Wan for years, to feel seriously threatened. Ngai orchestrated a scheme to sow discord between Wan and Shui Fong Lai, culminating in an intense conflict between the two. In 1997, Wan's strategist, Xu Wing-cheong, was driving to a casino with two subordinates. While stopped at a traffic light in the city centre, 3 motorcycles suddenly approached from behind. The riders drew guns and opened fire on both sides of the vehicle, killing everyone inside on the spot. Following Xu Wing-cheong's assassination, Wan suspected that Shui Fong Lai was behind the attack. Enraged, Wan led the Macau 14K gang in a fierce retaliation. The escalating violence resulted in the ambush and injury of Macau's Gambling Inspection Bureau Director, Mo Lei Lo, by 14K members, causing widespread shock in Macau at the time. Upon learning that Shui Fong Lai and the Hong Kong 14K were allegedly planning to assassinate him, Wan fled Macau and went into hiding in Europe. In June 1997, the Macau Judiciary Police issued a warrant for the arrest of Wan Kwok Koi and the senior members of the Macau 14K gang through Interpol, placing them on the global most wanted list. At the time, Wan was hiding in Europe, but continued to remotely command his subordinates, escalating the ongoing clashes with Shui Fong Lai and Ngai Siwai. Sensing the worsening situation, Shui Fong Lai also left Macau to lay low for a while. However, Ngai Siwai decided to stay in Macau, determined to hold his ground at the New Century Hotel. With the casino inside the hotel set to open soon, Ngai enhanced his private security forces, deploying guards both inside and outside the premises. Guards were stationed every 5 steps, creating an atmosphere of extreme tension. In the early hours of July 29, 1997, 3 days before the grand opening of the New Century Casino, 2 vehicles carrying gunmen slowly approached the hotel's entrance. Positioned at the front of the vehicles, the gunmen extended AK-47 barrels out of the windows and indiscriminately fired toward the hotel's main entrance. The stray bullets injured a security guard and 2 foreign tourists. This attack on the hotel sent shockwaves throughout Macau. Several countries subsequently listed Macau as a high-risk area, advising their citizens to avoid traveling there unless absolutely necessary. At this point, Macau had become a virtual terror zone, dealing a severe blow to its gambling industry. Realizing the severe decline in casino business and his inability to confront Wan, Ngai Siwai called upon Hong Kong triads for assistance. 3 major gangs, Hong Kong 14K, Sun Yeon, and Wo Xing Wo, banded together to support Ngai. Their plan was to help Ngai defeat Wan, after which they could regain a foothold in Macau's casinos. However, Wan remained inactive, instructing his subordinates to avoid direct confrontations. This strategy left over 300 mercenaries from Hong Kong idling with no action. Eventually, due to the immense cost of maintaining such a large force, Ngai Siwai had no choice but to retreat back to Hong Kong with his hired guns. At the end of October 1997, Macau revoked the arrest warrant for Wan Kwok Koi, and by mid-November, Wan quietly returned to Macau. Upon his return, Wan arrogantly led his subordinates through the streets, celebrating his victory as he had successfully taken control of all major and minor casinos in Macau. In 1998, riding high on his success, Wan invested in producing a self-biographical movie titled Casino Tycoon. The film later became one of the key pieces of evidence detailing Wan's criminal career. During the filming process, hundreds of Wan's subordinates were mobilized as extras, and he even ordered his men to block off an entire major street for several hours, halting all traffic to accommodate the shoot. Casino Tycoon, also known as The Legend of Wan Kwok Koi, had a budget of 14 million Hong Kong dollars, approximately 1.7 million US dollars, a staggering amount at the time. The film featured famous actors such as Simon Yam and Alex Fong. It depicted Wan Kwok Koi's journey from being a member of the 14K gang to becoming a notorious underworld boss, showcasing a story filled with violence. On May 6, 1998, the film premiered in Hong Kong, but was soon banned by the authorities in both Hong Kong and Macau. In late March 1998, the 14K boss of Macau, Wan Kwok Koi, who had previously never accepted media interviews, agreed to interviews with international publications such as Time and Newsweek. Wan led the journalists through casinos and lavish mansions, even allowing them to take photographs inside the Wan Hao casino under his control, displaying an unmatched level of arrogance. Wan Kwok Koi's arrogance greatly angered Macau's Director of Judiciary Police, Antonio Baptista. Dissatisfied with Wan for a long time, Baptista took action. On one hand, he had the interviews translated into Portuguese and personally reported the matter to the Macau governor's office. On the other hand, he instructed the Judiciary Police to meticulously plan a decisive strike against Wan. Aware that Antonio Baptista might take action against him, Wan prepared his Macau 14K gang to be ready for any confrontation. Between March and May 1998, Macau witnessed 7 horrifying acts of violence and murder, claiming the lives of 3 government officials. The first victim was Ma Si Fat, director of Macau's Casino Monitoring and Coordination Bureau, whose murder sent shockwaves across Macau. People from all walks of life condemned the perpetrator. However, just 2 days later, Chu Lan Kao, a senior officer in Macau's naval police, was gunned down by gang members. Following that, the driver of Macau's Director of Security, Huang Kam Cheng, was shot dead by an unknown assailant, plunging Macau's residents into a state of fear. On May 1st, 1998, a TNT bomb exploded under the car of Director of Judiciary Police Antonio Baptista. Fortunately, he survived as he was out jogging that morning. 9 hours after the incident, Baptista personally led a police raid on a VIP room of the Shanghai restaurant in the Lisboa Hotel, arresting Wan Kwok Koi and 3 of his subordinates. As Wan was escorted out of the Lisboa Hotel, numerous reporters, tipped off about the arrest, gathered at the scene. A photograph of Wan glaring at Antonio Baptista made the front pages of Hong Kong and Macau newspapers the following day. During a search of Wan's residence, police discovered a fax sent from Cambodia, listing prices for a large cache of military weapons, including rocket launchers, armoured vehicles, light machine guns, grenades, and ammunition. Wan Kwok Koi's arrest led to a frenzied backlash from his subordinates in the Macau 14K gang. Starting from the early hours of May 8, 1998, Macau experienced a series of 20 arson and Molotov cocktail attacks, with even the police headquarters and Macau governor's residence targeted. Within a single day, 35 private cars and motorcycles were set ablaze. All fire engines in Macau were deployed to extinguish the fires. Over the next 3 days, 53 more arson cases occurred. The Macau government, unwilling to yield to the triad's influence, coordinated with mainland Chinese authorities to crack down on the gang. This operation resulted in the arrests of high-ranking members and key leaders of the 14K gang, forcing many others to flee. Order was gradually restored to society. While in prison, Wan Kwok Koi consistently denied involvement in the car bombing of Antonio Baptista, claiming he was framed. Wan even offered a reward of 12 million RMB, over 1.5 million USD, to capture the person responsible for the bombing. To this day, the true culprit behind the bombing remains unidentified, and Macau police were ultimately unable to link Wan to the incident. On November 23, 1999, the Macau court began the trial of Wan Kwok Koi. He was charged with participating in a criminal organization, loan sharking, money laundering, possession of military-grade weapons, illegal gambling, and other offences. Wan was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Dissatisfied with the ruling, he appealed. On March 16, 2001, the Macau Court of Final Appeal reduced his sentence to 13 years and 10 months in prison. On December 1, 2012, The infamous 14K triad boss, whose reign had plunged Macau into chaos with bloodshed and violence, was released from prison. After his release, Juan held extravagant celebrations, first throwing a grand birthday party for his girlfriend, Ipka Yi, followed by a lavish birthday banquet with 133 tables for his mother. Beyond these events, however, Juan kept a relatively low profile. In a media interview, he revealed that he had reconciled with his former rivals Ngai Siwai and Shui Fonglai. Fighting only brings harm, but harmony benefits everyone. I've spent more than a decade in prison and let go of the past. They've made so much money already. What's the point of holding grudges with me? What do you think about today's case? Please leave your comments below so we can discuss it together. Don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe to the channel to motivate our team to bring more dramatic cases. And that concludes today's case. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching. Goodbye, and see you next time.